Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is the A25 Harry Hopkins. It's a Tier 4 British premium light tank. It's located on the south spawn on Prokhorovka, and this one is under the command of ProvoBob. And he's in a reduced numbers game with only 10 players either side, and there's an awful lot of bots as well. Game on! Well, we haven't featured this tank before, and it's rather interesting because it was one of the tanks that came in the loot boxes, and some people like quite a lot. It was supposed to be the replacement for the Tetrac, and it was actually wider, longer, heavier, with more armor than the Tetrac, but also it has significant problems. The vehicle was actually steered by turning the road wheels rather than the braking of the tracks on one side. It's armed with a 40mm main gun, the 2-pounder, and you can see it's got a Little John adapter right at the end of the barrel to get the extra penetration. With standard rounds, it'll do 55 alpha, 121mm pen, and with the APCR, it's capable of doing 145mm. So similar sort of penetration, you might say, to the Matilda. It's also got a fairly decent fire rate as well. Standard reload 2.49 seconds. Bob's got 2.38. Now he has been spotted, and I think the enemy is firing at him. Bob's using the premium ammo as he usually does. Unfortunately, that does waste a lot of credits, and he has received a hit on the tracks from a B1. Now there are a few real live players in, which is why I've put up the names as well, so you can see which ones are live players and which ones are not. The B1 that keeps firing at him is a bot, actually. Bots can be deadly accurate, and yeah, you don't want to mess with them if you can help it. People think bots are easy to kill. They're not. They actually use premium ammo automatically almost sometimes. Not all the time, but they do sometimes. And they just fire it with wild abandon. Unlike, well, a bit like Bob, really. He uses premium ammo the same way. Okay, there's the B1. He is firing in this direction. Oh, he's gone down into the river, or near the river. Okay, a nice shot there on the Panzer Die Aslains J. He's a 2-shot. Oh, we keep taking damage, and we've been ammo-racked. And he gets the kill on the Panzer Die, ducks into the cover. The B1 can't hit him from here because he's actually going towards the village, and the ground undulates at this point, so he's actually in defilade. He can't be hit at the moment. Okay, the Harry Hopkins, they only produced 6 of them initially, and it took a year for them to generate the 6. They were supposed to build 1,000 originally, and then the British government ordered 2,410 of them, but they had tremendous problems with the production, mainly with the front suspension actually, but also with the fact it was underpowered because it was using the same engine as the Tetrac, but unfortunately it was much, much heavier, and as a consequence it was slower going along. That's another bot. In fact, that's the B1 that was firing on him. One more shot. Oh, 2 shots. Go for the kill. Oh, kill steal. The Skoda T24, which is a bot, actually just killed that bot, and well, he misses out on the kill there. So still only the 1 kill for Bob. Now, in reality, this 40mm gun only had 50 rounds of ammo available. But in actual fact, in the game, they've given it a lot more ammo, 140 rounds. So you have got a lot to play with. It was originally supposed to be a light tank to replace the Tetrac, to go out and scout for enemy vehicles, and once they found them, report back. But it wasn't supposed to use its main gun, because the main gun was only a 40mm, wasn't really sufficient to take on something like a 75mm aim-armed main tank. And so it was just purely for defensive purposes that it actually had the 40mm. Well, Bob's scouting out ahead of the field, And there is still a live player in his team, other than Bob, and that's in the Panzer III, who's right over on the west side of the map at the moment, moving up that end. Bob's having a quick look to see if he can find the enemy. Oh, he's found somebody. It's an M8A1 over on the other side. Now, using these wagons for cover, can he get a shot? I think he can. Yep, there's one. Two. See, it's actually fairly accurate. Again, he gets another kill steal, which actually somebody else kills it before he gets the shot. The Panzer III actually got that one. His other human counterpart. Well, he's plugging holes into that B1, who is a bot. And there's the Chi Nu. Now, that's a bot as well. Two more shots. That's one. Go for the kill. Ah, he gets that one. Okay, he's lost sight of the others. They've got a 2-tank advantage at the moment. Oh, there's the Chi Nu. And he's really close, actually. Bob's pumping rounds into him. Now, this little tank does have 10 degrees gun depression, so he can go hull down. But he is taking hits. And he's down to 1/3 of his hit points left. So, not so good at the moment. And he's lost sight of that Chi Nu as well. He doesn't know where the guy is. But he can see that M8A1 over there on the other side. But he's in the bowl. So he's in that ground depression. And it looks like the Chi Nu is getting closer to him. He's concealed by the railway wagons at the moment. Oh, we just took a round from a Chi He. Now, the Chi He is a real player over on the other side of the battlefield. I think Bob's decided now he has to get out of here. He's only got relatively few hit points left, and that Chi Nu's actually got loads more hit points. And he's firing as he's leaving. Oh, he didn't want that to happen. The enemy Chi Nu got him, which now means that the only remaining teammate who's actually a live player is over on the other side of the battlefield. Luckily, our Skoda kills the Chi Nu. But now, because Bob didn't actually switch over, I have to go over to the other side of the battlefield to show you what's actually going on. So I'm going into free cam because it's the only way I can move. Please, if you do submit a replay and you do get killed, switch over to the nearest tank and keep switching over if you want that replay to be seen. Okay, you can see both of these bots are actually moving up the battlefield. That Matilda is a live player, a real player. And we just lost our Panzer III, which was killed by the Chi He on the enemy team, who's over there somewhere. So now, all we've got left remaining are 5 bots. And that's going to be a problem. Because bots won't naturally cap of their own accord. Oh, and they are taking damage. Well, the Skoda, who actually does have kills, is headed for the cap area. He's got 2 kills, actually. And he's into the cap. And he's gone out the other side. So it looks like he's hunting the enemy. But he stopped at the tree line. Probably because he got spotted. And we can see all these tanks now. They're just milling around. So they're fairly viable targets. The Skoda's gone back into the cap area. But he's not being joined by the M8A1. And their M8A1, who goes by that name of Henry Styles, is shooting on our teammates. Oh, well, the Matilda just claimed another kill, and our Type 95 killed the M8A1. So unfortunately, we're now down to the position where we're losing teammates. Close in on what's going on here. You can see the Type 95 is being penetrated, and oh, we've just lost the Skoda to the Matilda Black Prince. Now that is the guy who's a real player, which means now there's only 2 players left on our team versus 2 players on the enemy team, but both players on the enemy team are real players, whereas these 2 are bots. And that B1 is not doing anything. He's not moving away. should be trying to get into cover. If he was a real player, that's what he would do, but sadly they are being absolutely hammered. And now we're just down to one tank left, the B1, who can't see the enemy. Well, he can see the Matilda Black Prince now, because the Matilda is, as you can see there, over in the distance. And both players are now firing at the B1, and he's gone. So sadly, this game turned out to be a loss, because the bots could not win the game on their own. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game, a first ace tanker game for ProvoBob in the Harry Hopkins. Yes, despite the fact that he actually died in the game, he still managed to get enough damage to get an ace. He got a sharpshooter for getting 10 or more consecutive hits on the enemy, a 5 for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle, Master Gunner for getting 5 armor penetrating shots in a row, and also a Bruiser Medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 7. His win rate was very high, actually, 5,241, which is surprising considering that he only got 2 kills in the game, but he did do a fair amount of damage. Let's have a look at team score. Well, we can see the highest damage in the game actually went to one of the human players on the enemy team. The Chi-Hi got a high caliber for 1,946 hit points of damage. Second highest damage was the other human player, which was 1,882. That goes to the Matilda Black Prince. And the third highest damage in the game went to ProvoBob with his A25 Harry Hopkins, 1,603 hit points of damage. When it came to kills, it was actually the Chi-Hi who did the best with 4 kills. The Matilda Black Prince got 3, so did the Panther Dry Fear on our team, who's also a human player, and Bob was actually in 3rd place with 2 kills. And when it came to base XP, it was the Matilda Black Prince that came out on top, 1,135 to him. 967 went to the Chi-Hi, and 701 went to the A25 Harry Hopkins of ProvoBob. So even though he was on the losing team, he did do fairly well on base XP. He fired 45 rounds of ammunition. Sadly, it was all premium ammunition, which means that he ended up with massive costs at the end. Direct hits, he managed to get 34, and 30 of those penetrated. So even with APCRs, sometimes he was having difficulty trying to get pens on the enemy. 1,603 hit points of damage, of which 369 were at more than 300 meters. He did receive 10 hits from the enemy, 8 of those penetrated. The armor is very thin on this vehicle. In fact, the best armor is only 38 millimeters of armor, so yeah, most rounds are going to go through, even at tier 4, I'm afraid. And he also got 1 non-penetration and 1 hit by way of splash damage. He blocked damage of 55 hit points in total. 2 enemy vehicles were spotted, 5 enemy vehicles were damaged, 2 were killed, and 84 hit points of damage assistance. Now, on a free-to-play account, he earned 24,096 credits for the game, but look at that ammo cost. Massive ammo, because he used premium ammo all the way through. So he actually ended up with 52,034 credit loss from this one game alone. So, yeah, I think he really needs to go into battle with standard ammo. In fact, don't carry any premium ammo at all, ideally. Just use the standard 40mm rounds, and then he might actually make a profit, even if he makes a loss. Because at least the thing about the light tank is that you're supposed to locate the enemy, not to try and directly engage it. And I think the problem was Bob stayed too close to that railway line for too long. Although he was spotting the enemy, what he was effectively doing was making himself a target for those bots, and eventually one of them nailed him. He did get 701 base XP, and he got 234 for this being a premium vehicle. In fact, it's one of the loot box vehicles that most people seem to like, because, of course, it is quite fun to play. 935 XP altogether. So, yes, congratulations on getting an ace tanker, but please don't use this thing with premium ammo. Try to use it with standard ammo throughout. It is a £2 gun. With a squeeze bore, it should be able to penetrate most enemy vehicles. I think if you try firing this thing with the standard ammo, you won't get as many non-penetrations as you think. Plus, of course, the ammo is a lot cheaper. And, of course, that means that you might actually make a profit on this thing if you locate a lot of the enemy. I also say, and this is just personal advice, if you're in a light tank like this, the best thing to do is not to go up the side you did over the hill and try to come down the other side. I know this thing does have speed, but ideally what you want to do is spot from the west side of the map, move in advance of that Panzer IV Drei and or Drei Vier over, and spot for him so he can get shots on the enemy, and then you get the spotting assist on his shots. He did actually move up that side, but of course he didn't know where the enemy was. And with the A25 Harry Hopkins light, it's got a pretty good view range, 320 meters for a tier 4. That's pretty good. And he could have spotted for the Panzer Drei Vier, and probably wouldn't have been spotted himself in the process. So he would have stayed alive and been able to see where the enemy was, and possibly even take a few pot shots at them when they became visible. Yeah, I suppose he would have had difficulty penetrating the Matilda Black Prince, because that does have very thick armor. So maybe carry only a few rounds of premium ammo, just in case you do come across a Matilda Black Prince in the future. But yeah, try and use standard ammo, because you really can have a good battle with standard ammo in this little tank. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like, do subscribe to our channel, leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm, and thank you for watching.